This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How are you doing on this beautiful Monday, rainy Monday in West Alabama? This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. You're listening to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. You're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Twitter at Joe Gaither6. For all your social media needs, we are a proud part of the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network with our friends Blue Collar Unplugged. We want you to subscribe, rate, and review both podcasts, Blue Collar Unplugged with our friends Blake Byler, Matthew Gibson, and Jacob Pickle, bringing you Alabama basketball news each and every week. But for us, we're going to talk Alabama basketball. Today, we're going to talk about SEC standings. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl just a little bit, and we'll touch on Alabama softball just a little bit. As always, you can jump in and find us on the social media machines at Joe Gaither6 and leave us a comment, a question, a query, and complaint, or send us a friend request and jump in our DMs, whatever you want to do as far as sports talk. You can find us at Joe Gaither6 on your favorite social media machine. It was a fun weekend. I hope you guys had a great weekend, enjoyed the Super Bowl Sunday, enjoyed the weekend as a whole. Let's start with Saturday. Saturday, a huge slate of SEC basketball, and a lot of things went the Alabama Crimson Tide's way. It ended with Alabama today being ranked, number 15 in the newest AP poll rankings. Let me double check myself. I did see that earlier. Number 15, and was that correct? Yeah, Alabama moved up one spot from 16 to 15 after losing to Auburn on Wednesday. Terrible result, big old blowout loss, and then beating LSU on Saturday. So you went 1-1 on your tough week stretch, and this week Alabama basketball gets the week off, gets a little bit of a midweek break. It's the Crimson Tide's turn for their mini bye week. They will play again on Saturday against Texas A&M. So let's kind of talk about it. All right, so I'll be fully transparent with you. I was on the road on Saturday. Want to send out a congratulations to my youngest sister, Catherine, getting married, and her lovely husband now, Matt are married. So congratulations to them. So I was out on Saturday. I was able to see the result, listened a little bit to Chris Stewart on the radio. Appreciate that from Crimson Tide Sports Network. You saw Alabama really kind of lean into their strengths. They made 18 of 44 three-point shots. I mean, another 40-plus point three-point shots attempted. What's that? 2 out of the last 3 games, they've gone over 40 attempts. They made a little bit more this Saturday than they did last Saturday against Mississippi State. They made 18 to last Saturday's 15 or so. They got to the free throw line 17 times. LSU made the game tight in the second half. Alabama stretched it out to 11 or so early in the second half. Then LSU tightened it back up and tied it. Alabama's defensive performance, not so great, but the offense down the stretch, Mark Sears, Ryland Griffin, and Latrell Reitzel all kicking in down the stretch the last 9 minutes. And really, the offense carrying Alabama to victory. And that's been the Alabama recipe so far this year. And really, Alabama's offense has taken it to a place versus a number of opponents that most teams cannot get to. So you saw that again this Saturday against LSU, but you're not really comparing yourself against LSU. I mean, LSU this past Saturday, that's a quad 2 win. Yeah, that's a quad 2 win. They're 94th in the net. You definitely want to get that win. It's better to lose it, but it's not the Purdue's that you're going to be playing in the Elite Eight rounds, the Sweet 16 rounds. It's not the Arizonas, the Tennessees. And yes, it's great to get a road win. Oh my gosh, every road win in the SEC is great. But what are you really taking away from the victory? What you're taking away from it is what happened around the rest of the league. Alabama keeps winning, and you want to keep that record clean. Now Alabama is I had it just there. The Crimson Tide is now they lost two games, so they're what, 9-2 in the league? Is that my SEC standings? Oh my gosh, I've got notes all over the place. All conferences, SEC. Alabama, yeah, they're 9-2. Yeah, they're 9-2, tied with South Carolina. And South Carolina also won this past weekend. South Carolina didn't play anybody too challenging, right? They had an easy win on Saturday, right? Yeah, there we go. Now I'm all set up. South Carolina beating Vanderbilt, yeah, by 15 points. So you're 9-2. You're tied with South Carolina, and you have the one game. You have the tiebreaker over the Gamecocks by beating them by what, 30 points here in Coleman Coliseum. The second week of conference play. So you're 9-2. Auburn and Tennessee both lose. Auburn on the road to Florida and losing. Tennessee on the road to Texas A&M and losing. And so basically the four-way tie that you found yourself in on Wednesday night is once again broken on Saturday, and Alabama has once again kind of a clear path to the SEC championship, a regular season title. And that's something really not everybody wants to value that, but I think it's a very, very good goal for this team to have, especially considering every bit of turnover. We've covered that on the show before. You've got the 3 new coaches, you've got all the new players, and for this team to be once again defending successfully so far, defending its SEC title, I think it's a strong. I think it's a big old kudos to Nate Oates and his leadership. Really, what he's doing on the floor. So let's look at it. Auburn lost to Florida, and they were never really in it. And that really is going to kind of make you, as an Alabama fan, think about the next, the home and home series with Florida. You're going to have to go down there. You're going to have to come up here. You want to go 2-0. Florida has proven themselves. They're going to be in the NCAA tournament. You're looking at 8 or 9 conference teams in the NCAA tournament. Florida has proven itself to be one of those dangerous teams in the SEC, and you can't go in there. You can't go down to Gainesville and think that you can beat them. They are, let's see, on the schedule. You got them home in February 22nd, and then you're going down there March 5th. 31st in net. They're a really quality basketball team, a little bit comparable to Mississippi State in a way, and you know how challenging it was to go over to Mississippi State last month. Alabama took an 8-point win against the Bulldogs. But really up next for Alabama, you got Texas A&M, quad 2, Florida at home, quad 2 as well. And then you've got a big stretch of quad 1 games, and that's going to determine if you're able to win the SEC season. I think this Bama bye week is very, very important for this basketball team because of what you've done. Basically, you've made it past the halfway point in the season, in the SEC season, and you're 9-2. You look at your record, and everybody's like, 17-7. Oh, that's not as good as maybe Auburn with 19 wins or South Carolina with 21 wins. You've got some of these teams with a higher win. Ole Miss has 18 wins, but you look at Alabama's schedule, and it's been much, much tougher in the non-conference. The challenging of themselves in the non-conference has clearly paid off. So you've got 11 games down out of the 18. So you've got 7 games left to go, and you get a break this week. You have an early tip-off, so it's almost, it's not a double break. And yes, Texas A&M is a quality basketball team. You saw them beat Tennessee this past weekend. Wade Taylor and them boys, they're going to come in here, and you got to keep them off the offensive glass. But you get the early tip-off, you got the bye week, and you throw in some new uniforms. I think it makes for an exciting week for Alabama basketball. If you haven't seen the new uniforms, you can go on to BamaCentral.com and check them out. Alabama's marketing department has put together a kind of conglomerate of a retro look with new kind of new vibes here. It's not a uniform that Alabama's ever worn before, but you've got the block A on the shorts, and the shorts are nice. I would love love to have a pair of those shorts, and you can buy those several different outlets. You can see the links on all the social media machines from Alabama basketball. But I think the uniforms are good. It's something to kind of give a little juice to the rest of the year. Look, are you excited as a fan to come in here on Saturday at 11 a.m. to watch them play Texas A&M? I could understand the argument that you'd want to sleep in, or I could understand the argument that you'd want to maybe go play golf or do something with the family that day. But it's the next SEC game, and it's the next time in Coleman Coliseum. I think there's only, 4 Coleman Coliseum games left on the schedule. So you got to get in there. Maybe the new uniforms get you a little jazzed up, and hopefully it helps the Alabama players as well. Start, have a quick start on a Saturday morning. Put Texas A&M away and get off to a 1-0 start in these new threads. So we'll see. You can check out Mark Sears on his social media machines, looking at modeling them right now. They look good. I want to let you can let me know what you think of the uniforms at Joe Gaither 6 on all the social media machines. We touched on the AP poll just a moment. Look, you can look to the AP poll and you can see just how really worthless it is. Alabama moves up by 1 spot. Auburn moves down by 1 spot. South Carolina is up by 4 spots. They beat Vanderbilt. Great. Good job. You beat Vanderbilt, and they're up to number 11 in the country. Is Alabama better than South Carolina? Yes, I think they are. The AP poll is just kind of, I don't think it's worth a whole lot. I mean, yeah, you look at the top end. UConn, I think, is definitely the number 1 team, and I think Purdue and Houston you can argue back and forth between the number 2 or number 3 teams, but really, I don't really think the AP poll gets the nuance very, very, very accurately. Once you get past 6, once you get past really, 5, 6, 7, I think you start to lose kind of, you get lost in the sauce a little bit from these AP poll voters. And I can understand that. There's 300 some odd basketball teams, and, I'm only assigned to follow one of them from an Alabama perspective. And so really, I'm seeing things from an Alabama lens and an SEC lens, and you look at the net rankings. Alabama currently 5 in the net, and in KenPom they're 6 in KenPom. So you see them being ranked at 15, and you think, that's not so accurate for this basketball team. You got to combine the analytical rankings with the wins and losses. Look, Alabama is better than 15, but I just think that you look at what happened this week. Look, you took a big loss to Auburn. You were 16. You took a big loss to Auburn. That should knock you down. That should knock Auburn up, beating a top 15 team. But then Auburn goes on the road and loses to Kentucky, who's an unranked basketball team who should be ranked at this point. That knocks them down. Alabama, what's the win over LSU worth? LSU's not a good basketball team. They're sitting there outside of the top 70. Look, they're 94th in net. They're not a good basketball team, but that allows Alabama to move up. I think that shows you really how much weight the AP poll voters are giving Neville Arena. I mean, Neville is a very tough place to play. We talked about it all week long last week. Alabama is the only top 20 team that Auburn has beaten so far this year. So really, is Auburn that good, or is it just the home cooking? The home arena is kind of an overwhelmingly challenging place to play. I'd love to see Alabama and Auburn one more time in Bridgestone Arena up there in Nashville. We'll see if we get that on deck. But it's just a very convoluted ranking system. I don't think the AP poll, I mean, look, for our intents and purposes on this program, the AP poll doesn't matter because they're not selecting the NCAA tournament, which Alabama is firmly in. I believe they're still on the number 3 seed line. Let's find out where Joe Lunardi has them. Joe Lunardi bracketology, I think they're still going to be on the 3 seed line at 5 o'clock on a Monday. Let's find out. Let's see. Control F, Alabama. They're still on the 3 seed line. They're scheduled to play Morehead State in the Memphis region, which great. Awesome. I mean, if you'd have told me that Alabama would be at the 3 seed at this point in the year, you would be very, very happy about that. I think you're very thrilled about where Alabama is in the SEC standings, and with that, you got to put the Crimson Tide to bed for a little bit. We'll keep talking about the Tide. I want you to tell me what you think about these uniforms. If you like them, if you like the homage that they pay with the old school block A, with the Crimson Tide lettering, they've got the uniform in the middle there. I really like them. You're going to get to see them live in person on Saturday. Do you think? Do you believe in gimmicks like that? I like gimmicks. I enjoy that. I think that's what makes sports kind of fun. I honestly would love to see Alabama football embrace a gimmick or two. I know that might make some of the old school fans cringe, but I like I like getting crazy with things. And Saturday, midpoint during the year, big SEC game. Look, Texas A&M was scheduled to be one of the top couple teams in the SEC in preseason voting. Wade Taylor was your SEC preseason player of the year. He's still having a good season, but just not quite as good as Dalton Knecht or Mark Sears or Janai Broom. So it's going to be a big game on Saturday. We'll see how the crowd responds, and if the uniform gimmick pays off for the Crimson Tide. All right, let's move on here. But let's move on here and let's talk about Alabama softball real quick, because we're going to talk about Alabama softball. Then we're going to talk about the Super Bowl just real quick, and we're going to talk about the halftime performances, and we're going to just talk all kinds of nonsense towards the end of this Monday. But Alabama softball opens their season this past weekend at the Buzz Classic. And let's see, let me pull up my sheet here on the softball ladies. 5-0. They go and beat Villanova. They beat Longwood twice, and they beat Georgia Tech twice. Now, obviously, the competition, Longwood is not obvious, not anything that you're going to see in the SEC, but for basically spring training, all intents and purposes, you played 2 games against Georgia Tech, and you won those against an ACC level team. It's great. It's a great way to start. You threw a no-hitter on Thursday with Kayla Beaver. She threw a no-hitter on Thursday. She almost threw a second no-hitter. You can read all about it on BamaCentral.com. We've got Katie Wyndham covering the Alabama softball team. But to get the bats kind of going, I mean, this is five games, and you went, 13 plus 3 is 16 plus 3 is 19 plus 7 is 25 and plus 5 is 30. You went 30 runs across 5 games. That's, a pretty solid output for your first 5 games. The bats are you've got 2 big issues. You've got 2 big question marks for this softball program this year. Is how will the hitting coach really impact this lineup? But really, maybe more importantly, who's going to be the ace to follow up Montana Fouts? It's going to be 5 years that we've had Montana Fouts dominating the circle over there at the Rhodes House, just a couple miles away from where I am here. Look, so it's going to be a little bit different. You got to find a new set of aces, and ideally, in an ideal world, Patrick Murphy finds themselves a nice 1A and 1B with a third kind of mix-up in there. That way, they can get a whole staff when they run into some of these stronger teams and they get to the later points of the season. They can rely on more than one arm. But it's a good little start. It's a fun little start for the softball girls. We're going to keep following them as they keep it rolling. Their next action is going to be, looks like this weekend, they're going to the Easton Bama Bash. They're going to be right here in Tuscaloosa. So come on and see them. Friday, they play doubleheader. Saturday, doubleheader. And Sunday, right after church, they're playing their 5th game. So it's going to be another 5 games. They're welcoming St. Thomas, the University of Virginia, and Southern Indiana for a 5-game little weekend slate with the Easton Bama Bash. And you'll be able to see that at the Rhodes House. And if you miss it, you'll be able to follow it at BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. I might be a part of that along with our friend Katie Wyndham. And we'll be following all kinds of Alabama softball coverage throughout the year. We'll see if they can answer those 2 questions. Can they find a solid pitcher or pitchers to replace Montana Fouts? And how will the new hitting coach come in there and impact the lineup? Will they be a little more patient at the plate? Last couple of seasons, it's been 1-2 swings. It's been 1-2 pitches. It's been we're going to swing at the first thing. Not so hot really since Bailey Hemphill has left the Crimson Tide lineup. Really lost a lot of power last year. Didn't have a whole lot of power, and were able. I'm pretty sure they got to the College World Series last year without it. Look. you're going to see it's a new look Alabama softball program, and you're going to be able to follow it right there at BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. All right, so it was the weekend. It was Monday, and hopefully you guys enjoyed Sunday. You enjoyed the basketball, and you enjoyed being in first place again. From a Crimson Tide perspective, not a whole lot. Oh my gosh, actually, there was some news over the weekend that I haven't even touched on. And I didn't even have it on my sheet until it just clicked with me. But Ryan Grubb went back to Seattle. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much for, light bulb moment. Ryan Grubb, offensive coordinator for Alabama for 15 days. 15 days. He's the offensive coordinator for the Crimson Tide. Well, okay, maybe 20. You're the offensive coordinator for the Crimson Tide. You go on recruiting trips. You tell these kids, oh, yeah, I'm the coordinator now. Dude, what in the world? So Ryan Grubb, if you haven't seen it, if you're living under a rock, goes back to Seattle as the offensive coordinator for Mike Macdonald. And I guess I got to own that because I told you guys that I thought there was a very low chance of that happening. And I'm still a little shocked by it based on, the lack of experience for Ryan Grubb. It sounds like Ryan Grubb is taking Scott Huff, offensive line coach, back to Seattle as well with him. It sounds like Jamarcus Shepard is staying in Tuscaloosa, but just kind of a big old gut punch. Kind of a big old gut punch, in my opinion, to Alabama's offensive staff, because now you've got to figure out, are you going to have Jamarcus Shepard and Nick Sheridan co-offensive coordinators? Are you going to go find an offensive coordinator? Is Kalen DeBoer going to be the offensive coordinator? I think it leaves a lot of question marks for the Crimson Tide, and it stinks from an Alabama perspective. Now, will the Crimson Tide work through it? Of course. Kalen DeBoer, here's you another hurdle. You're going to have to get over it, my man. And I'm sure that this was on his radar beforehand. It sounds like reporting from Nick Kelly at the Tuscaloosa News. He had a conversation with Greg Byrne. It sounds like that Greg Byrne and Kalen DeBoer were already having conversations about what if Ryan Grubb leaves, what we're going to do. So it sounds like there was already plans in places, and we'll soon find out what those plans are. But it does hurt. I think it does hurt you from a coaching staff perspective, because you wanted your whole staff. And look, you've had success as an entire staff. You know the ingredients of the staff. You know how X works with Y and how Z works with A and how B works with Z. You know how the parts and all the ingredients fit together. I think you're going to change roles, and you have new scenery, and it makes things more challenging. Does it mean that Alabama's going to have a terrible offense? No. Does it mean they're going to have a great offense? No. Who knows? We're going to have to find out in the how it affects things going forward. But I think it does leave a little bit of another hurdle for Kalen DeBoer to overcome as he's transitioning to the Alabama Crimson Tide. And for Ryan Grubb, dude, this is a guy, he must hate Tuscaloosa. I'm sorry, but I love Tuscaloosa just because I live here, and maybe you like Tuscaloosa as well, and maybe you hate it. You can let me know in the comments. But like Ryan Grubb last spring was offered to be the Alabama's offensive coordinator for a big money raise before Tommy Rees. Before Tommy Rees got the job, he interviewed apparently with Nick Saban and turned him down. And now he turned him down out of, I want to be loyal to my friend Kalen DeBoer, and I want to stay and keep working on what we've got building here in Washington. And great. I think that, that's no shame. But now you've come to Tuscaloosa. The whole staff has come to Tuscaloosa, and you're here, 15, 20 days. You're doing a little recruiting. You're going to the Senior Bowl. You're getting out there. And then you're like, no, I don't like it. I'm going back to the Pacific Northwest. I'm going back to Seattle. You must hate either you hate Tuscaloosa or your wife hates Tuscaloosa. I don't understand it. But Ryan Grubb spurns Tuscaloosa 2 years in a row and says, no, I'm not going to be the offensive coordinator for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'm going to take this coaching position with the Seattle Seahawks. And you're going to have to overcome things. It's just going to now, a lot of people are making a big deal about, Ryan Grubb, he didn't make this announcement. He didn't make this decision until the transfer portal window closed for Alabama. Oh, man, that's shady. That's low down. That's dirty. Look, no, it's not. It's not low down. It's not dirty. It's not shady by any means, because look, on April 15th, a couple of days after A-Day, you're going to have the transfer portal open. The transfer portal window open wide open again. Swing wide open. That's what I wanted to say. Swing wide open again. So you're going to have 15 more days to go in the portal after you find out how spring practice is going. Oh, it's low down, it's dirty. Look, these guys have already, at this point, basically decided that they're playing for Kalen DeBoer. And if they've attached themselves to Ryan Grubb, well, buddy, sorry, he was, here today and gone tomorrow. I don't think that's that big of a deal. And if it is that big of a deal, then you have the spring period to, I guess, tamper with yourself or go use back channel deals or to find out who's interested in you. You can go into the transfer portal on April 15th and, go to whatever university that you want to at that point. I don't think it's that big of a deal for Ryan Grubb to have made this announcement after the Alabama transfer portal window closed, especially because it's a one-way opening. That's what I don't like about it. If it was a two-way opening, if Alabama could go replace you at this point with players that are not from the Washington roster or the Michigan roster or the UCLA roster or the Boston College roster, like these schools that are, Arizona, these schools that are also experiencing coaching changes, if all 125, 126 Division I schools had their rosters open, then fine. But because only the schools going through coaching changes have their rosters open, I think it's, you got to do what you got to do at this point to kind of mitigate all the roster changes. Once the portal is open both ways for everybody, fine, no big deal. You'll see how Alabama works through that in the future. So yeah, that's kind of what Alabama football got dealt with over the weekend. Coach Ryan Grubb said, "You know what, Tuscaloosa, I don't really like you that much," or maybe it's just the professional preference of the wanting to coach in the NFL. Look, you've got a lot of narratives out there about, college coaching is so hard. These college coaches are going to the NFL. It's been weird. It's been very weird seeing coaches like Chip Kelly go from head coach at UCLA to offensive coordinator at Ohio State. It's been weird. You see what you see right here with Ryan Grubb. He says no to Alabama and goes to Seattle to work with the Seahawks. You've seen lots of strange coaching moves. You saw the Boston College head coach go to be defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, and we wish you no success at all from a personal standpoint. But you see, like all these, a lot of coaching moves of coaches. Tommy Rees went from offensive coordinator at Alabama. Now, obviously, he had to go land a new job, but his new job is with the Cleveland Browns. You've seen narratives. Oh, it's so hard. All these coaches are trying to get NFL jobs. They're trying to get out of college coaching. It's not fair. Well, buddy, that's what the money's for. That's what the money. And people say, "Oh, Joey, that makes you out of touch." You've got to find different ways. The job has gotten harder. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. The job has gotten more challenging with NIL and with the transfer portal. And I would like to see the transfer portal curve just a little bit. You get the one free transfer, and after that, you have to graduate to get a second free transfer. Oh, are you crying? Oh, baby girl. Is there somebody walking outside? The doggy is crying at somebody outside the window. But you get the first transfer free. And you go back and you have to graduate before you get the second transfer. You have to graduate, or you have to have some sort of real tragedy, like mom or dad's sick at home or some sort of thing, to get that second transfer. In my opinion, you get that first transfer because you made a bad decision, or you get that first transfer because you want to cash in and make a lot of money on NIL. But you can't keep going from school to school to school to school. That would be my curve to this. But for the college coaches, there's always going to be somebody. Like you look at the Boston College coach. Okay, he goes to the NFL and they got to fill that position. Well, they filled that position with Bill O'Brien, and that really stinks for our friend Julian Sayin, who partly chose Ohio State for Bill O'Brien. But there's always going to be people that are wanting to fill these roles. There's always going to be people. Like, look, if Alabama called me up today and said, "Hey, Joe, we want to hire you as wide receivers coach," that would never happen. But if we want to hire you as offensive line coach, whatever the case may be, I would say yes in a heartbeat, because the price tag, they'll say, "Joe, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be long hours. You're not going to really get a whole lot of off time, and you're going to be recruiting 24/7, and we want you." And I'll say, yeah, I'd love to do it. I love you at BamaCentral, and I love working for you guys, but it would be something like there will always be coaches. Now, I don't have any experience. Go ask any of the high school coaches in the area. Do they want to, upgrade to a college coaching role, whether it be at the University of Alabama or somewhere else, most of them are going to say yes. Now, there's some that'll say no for different reasons, but the money is so attractive and so enticing that you want to give it a try. You want to figure it out. And you always want to challenge yourself, in my opinion. So, look, everybody is crying about all these good coaches are going to the NFL. We're losing all these good. Look, Nick Saban was going to retire at some point anyways. The man was 70 plus years old. Like, yeah, he probably partly part of the reason that he retired is probably because of the way that college football is going, the NIL and the transfer portal, and kids asking for a lot of money over personal development. I understand that. I get that that's a challenging aspect for these older school coaches to deal with, but there's always going to be younger coaches. Coach Kalen DeBoer, 49 years old, will he work perfectly at Alabama? I have no idea. But you talk about, is there anybody that's going to want to fill Coach Saban's shoes? I bet. Look, you can debate whether Greg Byrne had Kalen DeBoer as his first choice, as his second or third choice. I think there's some significant room to debate that. But he's up there in the top couple of choices, and he gets picked. Like, it was not a job that was tough to fill. It's not, and look, you talk about a couple of years ago, Bill Clark retires from UAB because of a health issue. It's not a job that's tough to fill. They get Trent Dilfer relatively quickly. Now, is that an off the board hire? Yeah, absolutely. They down there at Auburn, they fire Gus Malzahn, and then boom, they're able to get Hugh Freeze. Like, these jobs come open very quickly. You're able to hire very quickly. Like, I feel bad that it's long hours, that it's tough work, and maybe that's what pushed Coach Saban out? No, not really. Look at the business end of it, the money that he was making, the notoriety that he had earned. It's going very well for him right now. So look, with all this, with Ryan Grubb moving to the NFL, do we feel bad about college coaches? Does there need to be there does need to be changes with the transfer portal and NIL to some degree. I think if you curb the transfer portal, you will control NIL, because if you're not able to go into the portal each and every year, look, let's say I'm Joe Schmo and I'm a superstar wide receiver. First year I'm at UAB and I put up 1,000 yards and I go into the transfer portal and I'm going to whatever school X, Mississippi State, and they're giving me a bunch of money. Then I put up a bunch of yards. Then somebody, Ohio State calls me. Like, that's the multiple time transferring. The multiple time transferring encourages the tampering. Encourage it. Like now, Caden Proctor, he was here at Alabama. He gets tampered with at Iowa. They self-report that, whatever. But now that he is at Iowa, I think that he should have to stay there until he graduates. That way, let's say Ohio State says, Caden Proctor, you've been doing really good down at junior school Iowa. Why don't you come on over? Like, not that Ohio State did that. I have no evidence. But like, for example, I think the multiple time transfer portal rule allows the tampering or encourages the tampering to a higher degree. I think if you already transferred one time, you're pretty much stuck there until you've graduated, and then maybe you can get a second free transfer. So that's it on Ryan Grubb. That's it on SEC basketball. That's it on softball. Let's get to the Super Bowl. Let's talk about Sunday. Sunday. Look, we'll just get straight to it. I predicted on Friday's show the Chiefs would win 27-24. Wasn't too far off. The Chiefs won 25-22, and it was a fun little football game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys made a lot of money if you were gambling, or didn't lose a whole lot of money if you were gambling. A lot of fun. I don't have a whole lot to say about the Super Bowl because I have not really been a whole big NFL expert this year. Was it a fun game? Did I feel bad about Kyle Shanahan not winning the big game? Yes, but I just expected the veteran quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, to basically lead the drive, the drive that ultimately he did, the touchdown drive. Really, the drive at the end of regulation to get the tie field goal, and then the drive in overtime to win the game. the Chiefs are the Chiefs, the championship pedigree. That's what I said on Friday, that they would win in a close game, and that's what they did. It was the Chiefs' defense. The early part of the game was a lot of defense, and I was like, oh, this is an ugly football game. So it turned out to be a really exciting football game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The commercials, a lot of fun, good enjoyment on the commercial side as well. What did you think about the halftime show? The halftime show was a lot of fun, and I'm seeing tons of buzz on that online. I am a big Usher fan, not like super fan, but like when he's on, I'm bobbing my head, definitely. So I enjoyed the 15-minute show. Usher with a lot of the old faithful. He had Alicia Keys, he had Little John, he had Ludacris out there, and it was a lot of fun. I thought that it was a good show. PG-13 maybe? So it was some of the language, some of the themes of the songs. But as far as the skin that was shown, not crazy. I thought it was a fun show where Usher ran through his hits, and it was exactly what it should have been. I thought he performed very, very well. And that was really the second most exciting part of the night to me, besides the final drives where Patrick Mahomes and really Andy Reid put things together. Did you have a problem though with Travis Kelce? Did you have a problem with Travis Kelce bumping into Andy Reid and screaming at him? That was a little weird moment from a competitive standpoint. These guys are making a lot of money and there's a lot on the line. But come on, Andy Reid wants to win just as bad as you do, Travis Kelce. You got to control yourself just a little bit, my man. Just control yourself on the sidelines. I don't mind getting animated and getting angry, but don't bump into your coach. You almost knocked him down. You definitely knocked his play sheet out of his hand. But come on now. And sometimes, look, Travis is got to be the center of attention a little bit. I think you noticed that, or I noticed that. I thought of that at the end of the game on the podium. He did the Las Vegas, Viva Las Vegas deal, and that was a little over the top for me. But come on, don't knock down your coach. Come on, Travis. And so for all you Taylor Swift fans, you won. You won on the night. I have no idea how I did on the prop bets that I gave you on Friday. I know we won on a couple of them because he didn't propose. I know we won on a handful of them. I hope you guys won as well. But Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, you're Super Bowl champions, and all you Swifties are going to be able to take home your first Super Bowl ring in the first season of you watching football. So that's really nice. I've been watching football for many years as a Chicago Bears fan, at least since 2001, and no Super Bowls here. So stinks for us. Maybe Taylor Swift maybe Travis Kelce can get traded to the Bears and we can get some of that good Taylor Swift luck. That won't happen, but a guy can dream. All right, let's get out of here for the day. We're going to have QB Reese join us very soon on the program. We've been trying to connect with him over the last handful of days. He and I are working to get connected for a future Alabama football linebacker, and we'll be bringing that to you very, very soon. Other than that, we hope you have a great week. It's going to be an off week for Alabama basketball. No midweek action. Get ready for Saturday against Texas A&M. We'll follow who's going to be Alabama's next offensive coordinator. I have honestly no clue how Kalen DeBoer is going to fill that right now. We'll answer that question and more on the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. As we get out of here, I want to tell you about Druid City Music Hall. Druid City Music Hall is right down there on the Strip in Tuscaloosa, and it's a great place to watch live music. You want to get down there on Tuesday, February 20th. They've got the Brook and the Bluff playing. You can find them with special guest Willis. On Wednesday, the next night, they've got Pigeons playing ping pong. Say that 5 times fast. And then on Thursday, the next night, they're filling out that whole week with 49 in Winchester, and Friday, the Stews. So in just a couple of weeks, they're filling out the 5 days in a row with concerts, 4 days in a row, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, February 20th through the 23rd. You're going to have four great chances to watch live music right there at Druid City Music Hall. Check them out at druidcitymusichall.com. You can buy tickets right there on their website. And they'll take you right there to Ticketmaster. You can punch in Druid City Music Hall on Ticketmaster as well. So we appreciate them being a part of the program. We appreciate you being a part of the program. You can find us at Joe Gaither 6 for all your social media machines. You can find us at BamaCentral on X, at BamaCentral.com, right there on your web browser, at Alabama Crimson Tide on Sports Illustrated on Facebook, and at Bama Central SI on Instagram. So for you guys, the listener, the viewer, I appreciate y'all so much. I love y'all so very much. I appreciate everybody who's subscribed, rated, and reviewed the show. We'll be back with another edition of the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.